How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Extra from Team Extra, and here we got the OTS champion for +1 for Saturday. Alright, take it away. What do you have for us today, sir?
So I was playing Brave Eldlich, and this is something I've played for about as long as the adventure package has been out. And then I ended up incorporating Branded into it when Branded Fusion came out because it's pretty free in Eldlich. Just get to send the Golden Boy. So I guess we'll go through it. It's 41 cards altogether, and then we'll go ahead and start off with the monsters here. So we're running two of the Golden Boy himself. Mandatory, no more, no less. And that wraps up pretty much the monsters that you're going to play, but you can play some of these other ones as well. We have two Enchantress here for the adventure package. Didn't really need three. I don't like having a lot of monsters in my hand. It's not very good. I'd rather have spells, so I want to maximize that, but only play two and not draw more. One Griffin Rider. Pretty self-explanatory in the adventure package. Fallen of Albaz, just one. That's all you need. You can recycle it with this. Unlike a lot of Eldlich decks, like Traplich, where you don't really have cards to discard, you actually have more than one card normally left at this in your hand at the end of the turn, so you're able to discard and recycle if you want, but you don't have to. And then just the hand traps that we're running: 3 Ash and 3 Droll. A lot of people like the side deck Droll. I like main decking it. I think it's the best hand trap. It slows down most decks, and if that's what you kind of want with this deck, is you want to slow them down. You don't quite need to stop them, and you're not going to run a ton of hand traps for that reason, but you want to slow them down just enough. So that's it for the monsters. Next, we'll go ahead and do the spells. So, of course, 3 Branded Fusion. That's all we need right there. And then if we end up not getting back and recycling our Albaz, this is just free pitching fodder for Eldlich to either destroy something or for us to end up bringing it back. 3 right. Pretty standard. 3 prosperity. I prefer this over extra because you get to choose, and unlike what most people think with Eldlich, you actually want your extra deck. It's really nice to be able to do stuff because your opponent's not going to expect it, for one, and that shock factor really throws them off. Like, that's a big thing. Like, running Droll main deck also, they're not going to be expecting that, and that's going to throw them off in their game 2. They're going to have to play harder, and they're going to overside for it. And then you end up switching the hand traps, and they're not prepared from in the next matchups. But with this, you're able to dig with whatever you want in the deck. And it's really nice because you can pitch 6 and it doesn't hurt you. You can pitch 3 if you feel like it, just to get a little bit of advantage. And if you end up not having enough to pitch in the extra deck, it's good for Eldlich. 2 Droplet. I can't ever win a dice roll, so I just play this to break boards. And then it's also, if you're going second, you can get off a lot of your stuff for free and not have to worry about it. Like, you can activate your Branded Fusion, they activate Ash, Chain, Droplet. Keep going. The 1 Fateful Adventurer and the 1 Draco back. Just standard part of the adventure package. 1 Called By. Just for going first. It's also good going second against a lot of decks. It stops Branded really nice as well, hitting the target when they do Branded in red. And the 1 Cursed Elven. We'll be honest, I don't really like this card. It's good, but I always go second, so I wanted 1 more search for Eldlich, but I didn't want to have to keep burning myself, because once I use it once, that's normally all I need it for, so I only really need the 1 with the prosperities. And then now the traps. So this is going to be pretty standard starting off. We have the 3 Scarlet Sanguine, the 3 Conquistador, and the 2 Haquero. Pretty standard Eldlich ratios. Don't really think you should go down to 1 Haquero because you end up actually using the card, and it's good for the grind game. You're always going to be grinding with this deck no matter what version of Eldlich you're playing with, so I'd like to have an extra card to grind with. Plus, if you really don't need it, you can just send it as a free send and save one of your Conquistador pops. And the only Floodgate that I run, 3 Skill Drain. I don't really like any of the other floodgates right now. I side decked Anti-Spell Fragrance, but I didn't like it main deck because I felt it conflicted with the other stuff I'm trying to do in this deck. And Skill Drain, you normally have them either bait out the Griffin Rider first or use a Griffin Rider and then you flip the Skill Drain. But it also just gives you kind of a fuck it button where if you're worried, you just flip the Skill Drain, you're good to go. A lot of decks don't have an out for game one. And then the last three trap cards. Solemn Judgment. I like this card a lot because it can negate, spells, traps, and it can negate the summon. But at the same time, I'm debating if I'd rather put Strike back in, because I used to run Strike in the deck, and I felt Strike was better at times, but with Despia running around, Judgment was a lot better because it could negate the spells. But Despia really isn't as prevalent in our locals anymore as it used to be, so I'm thinking I might switch to Strike, not exactly sure. I would at least side two of these if I did end up switching to Strike. Alright, and that wraps it up for the main deck.
I always forget you have an extra deck.
Yeah. So, extra deck, this is my own special custom brew, and you're not going to see a lot of Eldlich players playing this, but it gives you a lot of options, so this is pretty standard. You got the one Link Spider, but the next card is something a little bit spicy. We have the Alsa, the Earth Charmer, and Alsa is good because you can end up stealing people's Reguluses, which they don't expect, and then you get a free Omni Negate on your side of the board. And it's actually really funny to do. Just remember that if you have Skill Drain up, it doesn't work. Learn that the hard way. So next we have Dark, just because why not? Steal some Dark, it's funny. If someone's still playing DPE, I always find it really funny to steal it, and then I have DPE now. Wina, because Eldlich. Something really spicy, and another profile that you're going to see later on is my opponent that I actually ended up playing. He was playing Dynamorphia, and this card was an MVP version, which is Scareclaw Tryhard. Now, I ended up putting this in here because I thought it was good because it could put threats and defense, kind of like Baguska, and make it so I can get over him. And actually, in our matchup, it got to the point where he couldn't use his Rexstrom to target my Tryhard. So he ended up not being able to use the effect, and I started breaking away his board piece by piece that way. And it's really easy to make in this because I just ended up using an Eldlich, a branded monster, and then I think Griffin Rider. Or I could also do it with Link Spider. So there's a few ways to get into it, but it actually was really useful. Now it's the first time I summoned it, so it's definitely going to stay here. Next, we have Celine. Now, as you saw, we have Droll in the main deck, and we have Water Enchantress, so those are both our targets to special summon back with this, and as most of you know, this is to go into the next thing, which is Access Code Talker. A lot of people don't see this, especially from Eldlich, so they end up getting smacked with Access Code Talker because they side out Nib, because what Eldlich deck summons more than 4 times in one turn? Well, mine can, but they don't expect that, so that's what we have that for. It's an easy way to finish out the game. But that's it for our Link monsters. Next, we have the big train, Gustav Max. It's fun to burn people. And then it's fun, going into his big brother, Liba. This is just so we can get over really big things. For example, the Attic Nister deck, they could put up their big Link 6 guy, and Eldlich isn't always going to be able to swing over it, so this can get up to 6,000, and it can attack twice, so it's also a nice way to finish out games as well, because first you burn them for 2,000, and then you can hit them with this, and if they don't die, then you go into our next card, which is Zeus, and they also, again, they don't see that coming either. So then you can just sit on Zeus for a turn or two, and then normally by that point you're controlling the game again. And then we have our fusion. So our small branded package, we have Lubellion, we have Albion, we have Lubellion, we have Mere Jade, Titan-clad, and then Albulanatus. Now, most of these are pretty self-explanatory. In our normal play line, we're going to go Albion and then Albion will either, depending on if we want to, we have, like, for example, 2 branded fusions in our hand, and we had a free discard. We could go for Lubelia, but normally we'll just go Albion into Mere Jade. And in the case we want follow-up, we also have Titan-clad to make a big monster, so we could send, like, Golden Boy and then send Albaz and then make it big that way if we're not quite able to get out the train to beat over something. Lunatus is just because we can add a fusion, and if we draw the one of Albaz, it's really funny against Dragon Link. I've actually gotten 4 monsters off a board in Dragon Link before with it. So that wraps up the extra deck. So that's about it. Did you have any other questions?
What would you like to tell all the Golden Boy fans who are going to be watching this deck profile to help them play Eldlich better?
That make sure you practice with it, and no matter how much someone tells you it's a monkey deck, tell them that they still lost to the monkey.
You've actually been on the channel quite a few times, so this definitely isn't the first time or the last time you've been on the channel. But usually, whenever I'm doing Eldlich, it's you.
Yeah, you normally know me in your videos by seeing the Golden Boy mat here, and then we have our own, fun Golden Boy token as well. So I'm pretty much known as the Eldlich guy around our local, so you'll normally see me playing that. I think you've also seen me on the channel once playing Branded Despia. I occasionally branch out, but normally 99% of the time you're going to see me playing Eldlich.
So when do you think Alistair is going to be coming back into the format? Hopefully soon, right?
Yeah, it's... Unfortunately, Alistair's not here. Like, I wish I could play Invoked again. I love playing Invoked a lot as well, so, like, I played, like, that and Eldlich are, like, my 2 favorite decks. So if that ever comes back, you'll definitely see me playing Alistair again.
So is this the first time that +1 did like an OTS Championship? Or should I call you the OTS Champion for this? Is it like different formats? Is it once a year? Do they do it more than once a year? Like, since I'm coming back to the shop, I don't even know. I figured I'd ask.
I don't know if it's a once a year or like a once a format, because they had one for Hartford, but I don't think that was the same thing. Because that was for the VIP qualifier.
Alright guys, that's about all that I have for you today. So, like, comment, subscribe, and remember, keep being extra guys, alright?